Hello, this is Mr. Donahue, and today's presentation is about imagery as used in poetry. Imagery, something that you see, something that you hear, something that you smell, something that you touch, something that you taste. How do readers get poetry? How do you understand? How do you get what they're about? Well, if a poet did nothing but talk about abstract ideas, nobody would get anything. Poets must use concrete images. This thing called concrete images. Concrete, something you can walk on, something that is hard, something that appeals to all of our senses. Not necessarily all at the same time, but appeals to our senses so that as readers, as listeners, we can understand what it is that the poet is trying to express to us. Try the following exercise. Describe the passage of time without using a description that uses any of the five senses. Pause the video and try and write something down if you want that would describe the passage of time, because time is truly an abstract idea. Here's a nice image that I found on the internet that describes time. In it, you have a regular hour clock, you have a second clock, you have a person thinking about time, you have gears. They're representing how time turns and how it clicks. Without any of these things, we would not be able to express time. Sight poetry. Sight is one of the main visual images, one of the main concrete images that poets use. Here from Tennyson's Summer Night, it reads, "Now sleeps the crimson petal, now the white, now the waves, the cypress in the palace walk, now winks the gold fin in the porphyry front, the firefly wakens, waken thou with me." Think of all the things you see. Now sleeps the crimson petal, now the white. You get this idea. If you have rose bushes in your backyard, in the summer when they bloom, they close at night. Yes, you know that cypress is a tree that in the nice summer breeze, you can see the cypress trees, or any tree for that matter, waving. The firefly, beginning of July is firefly season. If you get out of the city, you see hundreds upon hundreds upon hundreds of fireflies. And the golden fin? What's that, you ask? The golden fin is a sunset. That's an image. When you think of it as a fin, almost like a shark fin going down in the water. The golden fin, as the sun slowly sinks below the surface. A nice visual image that describes how the poet is speaking about summer. Sound. Sound is another concrete image. We hear things, and those things can be described to us and used by the poet to clarify what their ideas are. So from Two Autumns by John Keats, or The Sinking Light, wind lives or dies, and the full-grown lambs bleat from hilly bourne. Hedge crickets sing, and now with treble soft, the red-breast whistles from the garden croft, and gathering swallows twitter in the sky. Well, here you have plenty of things that we can hear. Lambs making their sound, crickets in the night. And what is the red breast, you ask? Some of you might figure that out. Here is the sound of birds. So in the nice summer evening, what Keats is describing is the sound of birds as it relaxes him. Smell. This is from Apple Picking by Robert Frost. Smell is a difficult thing for poets to describe because it's not as immediate as sight and sound. So this is from Apple Picking by Robert Frost. "My two pointed ladders sticking through a tree toward heaven still, and there's a barrel that I didn't fill beside it, and there may be 2 or 3 apples I didn't pick upon some bough, but I am done with apple picking now. Essence of winter, sleep is on the night, the scent of apples, I am drifting off. It's impossible to actually include smell here, so you have to use your imagination. It's not just the fact that he says the scent of apples, but that he combines it with winter, that kind of late, that early winter when apples are being picked. You know, you go to the supermarket and they're there, and you make apple pie and apple cider, kind of like around Thanksgiving time. That's what he's describing. Touch is another thing that is really hard for poets to describe, but I'm going to use an example from Robert Frost again, just to show you what he's talking about. This is from The Witch of Cooes by Robert Frost. I went to sleep before I went to bed, especially in winter, when the bed might just as well been ice and the clothes snow. Again, you can only imagine touch. And here I have a picture. Imagine how cold the bed is as the speaker is getting into it. Taste is another thing that's really hard to describe. This is just to say by William Carlos Williams, I have eaten the plums that were in the icebox, and which you were probably saving for breakfast. Forgive me, they were delicious. So sweet and so cold. Imagine the taste of plums, especially nice summer plums or sugar plums, and they're so sweet. It's almost like, even just thinking about it right now, my mouth is watering for their flavor. So you see, poets use all of these kind of things, all of these concrete images, to express what they're saying so that listeners like you and me can wrap our brains around these complex ideas that they're trying to express to them.